Yo, what is going on, you guys? Bashtian here, and today, guys, I'm going to be coming at you with my 67th place Traptrix deck profile for you guys. Now, I know we didn't top, unfortunately. If you guys stuck with me with the Instagram and the YouTube post I was making, you guys will have already known this, but we did do very well, I want to say, with this deck in the Houston Regional regardless. I had a lot of fun. It was a great experience. I saw a wide variety of decks doing very well out there. There was Fluwanderies, there was Drytron, there was a Plunder Patrol, Branded Despia, Dark World doing very well. I saw MathMech, ABC, you know, the list goes on and on. Labyrinth was, of course, doing very well. All the decks that you thought were going to be doing well were doing well, and of course all the road deck was also doing well. This is a pretty diverse format, and there's actually been a lot of videos discussing this, and I'll go ahead and have my own takes here in the near future, probably in a separate video. I don't want to go ahead and overload with you guys, but yeah, I did take the Traptrix strategy to regionals. If you guys do not remember, I did put up a poll on the channel about 2 weeks ago, week and a half, 2 weeks ago, asking you guys what you guys thought was better, if I take Pure Sprite or Traptrix, and I'm very satisfied. Very excited to go ahead and bring you guys the Traptrix deck list that I took to the regional. Overall, I finished 6-2-2, 6 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. So my matchups were, actually, let me go ahead and get my matchups real quick. All right, guys, I have it right here. You probably can't see it because of the glare, but I have it right here. So it was 10 rounds, 560 people, which is apparently, they said, was a Texas regional record for most attendees in an event. So I have my matchups right here for you guys. I didn't really keep track of the life points too much. Pretty much everyone's using their Neuron or whatever it was. So I mean, it is what it is. At least you know your boy was prepared. So it was 10 rounds. It was supposed to start at 10 a.m. as well. As another reason why I didn't get many profiles, because it was supposed to start at 10 a.m. and due to technical issues, printer issues, a whole bunch of issues, people not writing their Konami ID properly, whatever it might be, we started at almost 1 o'clock. So 10 rounds of Swiss. With that being said, the whole tournament ended at around midnight, more or less. So at the end of the day, everyone was just tired, and I think they pretty much wanted to do the deck profiles for, like, you know, the big names out there. Team Bortle has all top 8, I believe. Another YouTuber as well, YouTuber, I should say, Elite Savage. He should have a few of the profiles on there as well. A few others were there. I'm not gonna go start listing on, but just 2 off the top of my head. But yeah, let's go over my records, guys. This was 10 rounds. Round 1 to go up against Labyrinth. It was took a L. Round 1. It was 1-2, but it was a fun match. The guy was really cool. And round 2, I tied against Cashtira. It was a 1-1. I just didn't declare a battle phase when time was called. Other than that, I mean, the game was mine, but it is what it is. Round 3, go up against Labyrinth again. 2-1, took that one. Labyrinth again. Round 4, 2-0. And then I went against Tri-Brigade Sprites. Did not see that one coming. Of course, I was expecting Sprite, but I was expecting Adventure Sprite, not Tri-Brigade Sprite, and honestly, I just bricked both games really hard. So I mean, it is what it is. It just comes with the territory. So I lost that one 0-2. Then I went up against a Makanko player, and then my round 7 did not show up on round 7. So I was like, free win, I'll take that. And then I just I tied against Dinos, and then I won my last 2 matches against Branded Tri-Brigade and the mirror match Traptrix. So that's pretty much how my day went. A good variety of decks. Definitely saw Labyrinth a lot more than I expected, and to be fair, I did not respect Labyrinth in my side deck at all. I ran absolutely no spell trap removal in my deck whatsoever, which was killer because they kept flipping skill drain on me, but somehow I was able to win 2 of the 3 matchups against Labyrinth, so have that as you will. I guess, I don't know if that proves to you that Traptrix doesn't need spell and trap removal, but it would definitely be smart to go ahead and take some sort of removal. So I'll go over, of course, my deck list with you guys, and I'll go over as well what cards I would take out, things like that, things I'm going to change within the deck. I do still want to go ahead and play this deck a little bit further into the future, just to see if something else comes along that piques my interest. But overall, I really like this deck. It was very consistent, very powerful overall throughout the entire day. So we're gonna be going over the main deck, the extra deck, and the side deck today, just to show you guys exactly what it is that I played. Also, I did take my Trickstar World Championship mat with me. I had to. Quick quick shout out before I go. I get started on this. Quick shout out to my boy Rob. Helped me a lot with this deck. Just play testing. Also just any type of last minute advice as far as what take in, take out, things like that. But yeah, so big shout out to you, Rob. Appreciate you, bud. And as far as anyone, all the guys here in San Antonio, especially at Heroes Hideout, helping me test things like that, and all the locals, everyone's been really supportive. It's been a fun community to be a part of. But anyway, let's get started with this, guys. So I played 3 copies of Traptrix Pudica, of course, 3 Mantis, 3 Myrmelio, 3 Arachnacampa, and double Dionea. So originally I wanted to play 1 Shade Brigadine instead of the 3 Arachnacampa because I didn't think it was necessary. Realistically, I started out 1 to 2 Campa in games where I was going seconds because I wanted to, or in specific matches depending on first or second, just because I thought, well, there are better cards I can go ahead and play against a specific matchup. But overall, they did play out pretty well. The card that I want to say is a little bit more controversial as far as how many I played was 2 copies of Parallel Exceed. There was only 1 time that I saw both these in hand, and it was in my opening hand against Tri-Brigade Sprites, which was awful. He went first, and then I draw for turn. No, that was game 1. So game 2, I'm going first, and I opened up with both these in my hand, and just like, it feels bad. It feels bad. I was still able to make some type of a board after that, but I mean, he just broke through it easy. So I think 2 Parallel Exceed is enough. I think it's very rare the fact that you're going to see both of them in your opening hand. 3 is a possibility, maybe take out one of the Arachnacampas, but overall, I'm very happy with the Traptrix monster ratio that I played in the main deck. Nothing too crazy with that. I did play 3 copies of Ash Blossom as well. This is really the only hand trap you are going to need in this format. Nibiru, I'm going to say right now, I did not see a single person play Nibiru in the entire tournament that I was watching. I did see one of my opponents did side it in, but realistically, Traptrix plays around Nibiru very well. All they have to do is just make Rafflesia on their 5th summon and you're good to go. It doesn't take too much to go ahead and do. Every single Cashier player that I saw and that I'm hearing from deck profiles of the event, every single Cashier player was doing Arise Heart Pass, Arise Heart Pass, Arise Heart Pass. No one was playing into Nibiru, which makes Nibiru a lot less of a I want to say not less viable because it is still a threat. Everyone's respecting Nibiru, but it really just depends on how people play about this point. This is where the mind games really start to kick in, whether if people are going to be respecting Nibiru and going off with it, or because people think that, people think that Nibiru is always being played, that they don't play Nibiru, and then they go ahead and play don't play around it, or whatever it might be. You guys get what I'm trying to say. It's a big mind game as far as that goes, but I think Ash is going to be the only real card you are going to need. Ash in the cash matchup is still really good, depending on, of course, what they have in hand, but that's every single deck out there, let's be real. Ash is phenomenal against any branded strategy. I don't tend to struggle too much against branded, and I didn't really see it at all except for the 1 branded Tri-Brigade that I went up against. So I think the deck naturally has a very good matchup against branded. It has a very good matchup against Kashtira as well. So naturally, it just is very well overall. But that's gonna be it for the monsters, guys. Now on to the spells. Spells is pretty easy, standard as far as what this is concerned. Standard for me, anyway. 1 Trap Chip Guard and 2 Prosperity. I sometimes wish I did have the 3rd Prosperity, only because going second and digging for that evenly matched is really game breaking and powerful. Evenly matched is the strongest card, I believe, in the current format. Overall, it destroys Labyrinth, it destroys pretty much every single other deck. Tri-Brigade destroys Sprites unless they have a red, unless they have a carrot. It's been a while since I touched Sprite, wow. And Evenly Matched is just such a good card, and just being able to dig through to find a better Traptrix monster as well can be really clutch, because the 2 times that I did brick was because I either had both Parallel Exceed in hand, and game 1 I just didn't have any Traptrix monsters, I don't believe, so all I could do was set set cards in past. So maybe third prosperity would have helped out in that instance. So maybe take out one of the Arachnacampa for a prosperity instead. So that is something to keep in mind as well. Or just other consistency cards. I can't think of any other ones that I would play in this off the top of my head. I really like prosperity. There's a lot of cards in my extra deck that I just never went into because they weren't necessary. Realistically, guys, the Traptrix extra deck monsters are enough the majority of the time just get the job done on their own. That and Time Thief Redoers just really do enough for the deck in order to be able to go ahead and play around most boards, and to be able to go ahead and set up enough negations, interruptions to not really have to worry about your opponent has to do. So I think that is really big as far as what the deck can overall do. 3 copies of Traptrix Holotea, of course, pretty standard. I played 1 Traptrix Trap Hole Nightmare, 1 Floodgate, 1 Bottomless, 1 Gravedigger, and 1 Terrifying Trap Hole. So I did play 6. And 1 time space. I was like, there's only 5 here. I did play 6 of the Trap Hole cards. Bottomless is one that's not really seen as mandatory, but even sending this off of Holotea and then resetting it with Dionea, it forces your opponent to have to play around it. So Bottomless is just really good. Again, I was trying to prepare for all decks, including the Branded strategy, because I thought Branded would be a lot more prevalent in my matchups. I wasn't expecting for it to be Labyrinth, but it is what it is. I mean, there was never a time where I didn't think Bottomless was helpful in a sense. So I really like Bottomless in the deck, honestly, guys. Time Space Trap Hole came up clutch as well. Terrifying, great. All these put in so much work. I think one of each is really all you need. Any more than them, and you probably are playing the deck in a way that you are out resourcing yourself, because you can always set them back, any good ones that you need anyway, with Dionea. You just have to be very careful about not overcommitting, things like that, which did play a factor in a few of my matches. I did overcommit a few times, so there's a lot of things that I'm trying to learn about the deck as well. And I'm not saying that I'm a perfect duelist with this deck, of course. I didn't top, whatever it might be. I did have a few misplays, and the majority of them, my misplays, were just me overextending, overcommitting, overplaying my hand, things like that, to where I left myself without resources. So it's something you want to definitely keep in mind if you're looking to pick up this deck. It's a very fun deck, don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun to play. It's very easy to initially learn the combos, things like that. But in order to properly master your resources with this deck, it is something you are going to have to, of course, practice it. Next, I did play 3 copies of Imperm, 3 Evenly, and 3 Torrential. All these were insanely clutch. I would not change any of them. I would definitely not put in Nibiru for Torrential. Torrential put in so much work, mainly because all of the Traptrix extra deck monsters say they're unaffected by traps, which means it's pretty clutch. Also, if you guys are were not aware of this ruling, whatever it might be, at least this is how it was ruled in Houston. So, but it's something that you guys should at least check with your judges before you go ahead and attend any big events. If your opponent flips Skill Drain, and specifically, well, what should be the Labyrinth matchup, right? And you already have a Sarah, or you already have a Traptrix extra deck monster on the board, they all say they're unaffected by trap effects. So if the Traptrix monster is on the field first, then the Skill Drain does not affect it. But if the Skill Drain is already on the board and then you summon the extra deck monster, then the extra deck monster will be under Skill Drain, so that it doesn't gain that effect to be unaffected. So it really just depends on which one's on the board first. A little bit of ruling tips for you guys, but it's something that I would probably still check with the head judge at your event before tournament starts, just to make sure that you're not cheating anybody, just to make sure that you are playing appropriately to how the matchups are being played, because that could honestly change the game quite a bit. If someone flips Skill Drain on you and you just assume that you don't have the effects, or it might be, it changes a lot, especially with Sarah being unaffected, because Sarah is the entire deck. Without Sarah, this deck does not function, so it's something you want to keep in mind as well. But that's going to be it for the main deck, guys. I played a 40 card main deck, so I know last time I showed this deck, I was playing it at 43 cards, so I did cut it down a little bit. So again, the only thing I'm really considering changing about the main deck is putting in potentially an extra Pot of Prosperity for an Arachnacampa, and seeing if I can potentially find an extra spot for a Parallel Exceed. I did think that Bottomless put in work, so I don't want to take that out. Maybe a 41 card deck would suffice, but that's something I'm still working through as far as finding out ratios, things like that as well. Next up for the extra deck, guys, I played 3 copies of Sarah. Of course, Sarah, like I said, is the bloodline, the lifeline of the entire deck. It gives you so much consistency, so much resources. Whoever can dominate Sarah best in the mirror match will win the mirror match, and that is just case in point. I mean, as far as that goes, you know, Sarah can be a detriment, but it can also save you quite a bit. So you need to make sure whoever dominates Sarah in the main deck, both yours and your opponents, will win that matchup. So just is something to keep in mind. And really, just the mirror match is something of playtesting. The more you playtest, the better you will do, essentially. 1 copy of Traptrix Cularia. I never summoned this. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Oh no, I'm kidding. I summoned this once because out of necessity. But besides that, it was always a prosperity banish. But it is something that can come up. So it's one of those cards that you need it, but you don't have it, or you have it but don't need it type thing. So I'd rather have it and not need it, and need it and not have it. You guys get what I'm trying to say. 1 Traptrix Adipus. This put in so much work. This card is godlike. Let me go ahead and tell you right now, this card is so freaking good. Helps you OTK, you know, negates monsters, destroys cards on the field, everything like that. So Adipus is such a phenomenal boss monster, man. Don't even get me started on that card. It's so good. I played 1 Lingaribo and 1 Pentastag. This is where it gets a little weird. So Lingaribo, of course, out the Ibli. That's pretty standard. That makes sense. Pentastag, I could not for the life of me find an Ausa, the Earth Charmer, anywhere I looked at locals here in San Antonio. I looked at my friend's binders. I looked at Houston locals as well. The night before the regional, I was actually driving around different locals in Houston trying to find somebody that would have that card. I couldn't find anybody until the tournament was already about to start, and then one of the guys in San Antonio was like, "Oh, I have an Ausa," and I was like, "Damn." But it was too late at that point. I already turned in my deck list, so I played Pentastag. So the reason behind this one, obviously, it just takes 2 effect monsters. So you can go ahead and out Ibli with this in the event that Lingaribo gets banished, because you'll probably see this if you're playing Cash and be like, that's weird, leave it in there. So also with the piercing damage, I was thinking, okay, so I have this, and if I have it pointing at an Adipus, that's 2800 attack. That with piercing, that might help in some type of, you know, game ending things, or if my opponent makes Cowboy pass, whatever it might be, that I can go ahead and beat over the defense position Cowboy, and then I still get piercing damage off that as well. So it was just a lot of things going through my mind with this, but this did turn out to be the best one. Also, I was also trying to look for the one with the highest attack value, and 1600 seemed decent to me. The only one higher than that I had was Psyframe Lord Lambda, but I wasn't going to play Psyframe Lord Omega, so that just didn't make any sense. At least I get some utility of Pentastag. But just so you guys know, I'm not crazy. I just didn't have access to Ausa, which I still need, but that's beside the point. They played 2 copies of Rafflesia, guys. 2 copies of Rafflesia are really all you need. There are actually a few moments where I was actually considering banishing the other one off of the Prosperity, just because 1 Rafflesia is usually enough to win you the game. The second one will lock it down for you unless you get even lead, and that's really just where it comes down to. But 2 Rafflesia is super good. I kind of want to get upgraded rarities because I'm tired of looking at the commons. But I mean, that's just personal preference. Rafflesia is just a godlike card, so freaking good, and the fact that you can't target other Traptrix except for this is super freaking clutch. Just because I had I think it was a Pinguicula and a Rafflesia and the Sarah on board. I think my opponent activates, I believe it was Change of Heart to try to target Pinguicula, and I'm like, no, you gotta target Rafflesia. So, and then after that, he just scooped after that, and I was like, yeah, all right. So super clutch, amazing card. 1 Alamaris. The effect to banish and to detach and special 1 from graveyard comes up a lot more often than I thought, just for extenders and being able to destroy more cards your opponent controls. For example, you can go ahead and activate Holotea, special summon Mermello pop, use whatever and make Alamaris. You activate Alamaris, detach 2, target Mermello, special Mermello, pop another back row. So it's just, you can abuse it so much. Alamaris is really good, but just that 1 is fine. One Penguicula. I wanted to find a second spot for maybe a second one, but realistically, throughout the entire regional, a second one never came up. Penguicula is a really, really good card. You really only need one of her at that point, but I mean, that's pretty much it. Exciton, I never made this. I never made this, never wanted to make this. I am going to be cutting this from the deck completely. There was never an instance where I said, damn, I really wish I had my Exciton Knight right now. This was not a good card. At least it was not a good card for me. The scenario never came up. So I think there are just better cards to go ahead and play instead of this. I really, really miss Gaga Cowboy. There's one or two games where I feel like if I made Cowboy, there was one of my tie against Kashtira, if I had Cowboy in my extra deck, I definitely could have just overlaid make because like I think I told you guys, I don't know if it was this video or last video, but the reason we tied is because I did not declare battle phase in time. Is where it is. That's the name of the game, whatever. But had I had Cowboy in my extra deck, that could have won me the game. And so I think that has more applicability than Exciton Knight, just because with the Traptrix strategy, every single one of my matches, unless I was 2-0ing, all my matches went into almost time. Right, it was maybe there was 30 seconds left, 45 seconds left, or they went into time, whatever it might be. So with that being said, I would rather have the Cowboy, just because the Traptrix deck naturally goes into a much more grindier state, unless of course you just open up the nuts and you just 2-0 your opponent real quick. So is something to keep in mind, at least for myself, definitely. So I will definitely be cutting this for a Gaga Cowboy. If I'm wrong, definitely just let me know in the comments, whatever. But but off of what I experienced, I just would much rather have the Cowboy in the extra deck. Number 41, I made this once, and my opponent just outed it. So realistically, it is really good against certain decks. I just didn't see enough Kashtira to really get the benefit of Baguska, or just any decks that would immediately die to this. Like I said, I only made this against Sprite. And my opponent just made a whole bunch of link monsters that couldn't turn to the defense point anyway, and just negated this with Pit Knight Early of all things, and just destroyed my board. Time Thief Redoer is a god card in this deck. Let me tell you, the Redoer is fantastic. You honestly, this card alone takes the deck to a whole new level. I made this in about, I want to say, at least 60 to 70% of my matches, and no, I want to say probably half. Let's say half. That's much more fair. Half my matches I made Redoer, and anytime that I made Redoer, I was winning that match, regardless. Right? So good. And of course, last slot is going to be for AA Zeus Sky Thunder. So out of these cards, I'll probably take out the Evil Swarm, Exciton Knight, and the Baguska, just out of performance, and then the Pentastag, of course. And the Pentastag, of course, once I get the Ausa. So other cards I'll play instead of these slots would be potentially, if you guys want additional options, a second copy of AA Zeus, Ausa, the Earth Charmer. Abyss Dweller is good for any type of rogue matchup, especially in this current format where you can literally be facing anything. Tornado Dragon is not a bad one as well. What's the one I said? Gaga Cowboy would be really good, so I'm definitely going to be putting Cowboy in here as well. So you have a lot of options when it comes to the extra deck, when it comes to your flex spots in the extra deck. But I think everything here, so the Penguicula, Time Thief, the Alamaris, the 3 Sarah, Lingribo, I think these are all standard and mandatory in every single Traptrix deck. These 4 are potential flex spots as far as what I'm concerned. I do like to play, of course, Traptrix Hilaria, as I mentioned before, because her effect might come up every now and then, or you may not have a Sarah anymore because a lot of them get banished if you're going to get banished Kashtira. So in that case, you go ahead and make this. In that case, you can still at least recycle your trap hole cards, which it can't come up. But these 3 are the true flex spots in the deck, at least for me. And I know this is getting a little bit long for you guys, but I want to make sure that I just go over my thoughts and everything. Let's see. And lastly, guys, I am gonna have my side deck for you. So a side deck I decided to play was 3 Artifact Lancia, 1 Mind Control, 1 Change of Heart, 3 copies of Dark Hole. I know I have a Platinum Rare, whatever, get over it. 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance, 3 copies of D-Barrier, and 1 additional copy, I should say, of Gravedigger Trap Hole. This is mainly a play around Nib or anything that would activate in the grave or any type of banish type effects. So, for example, Tenyi Sorcerer, a lot of cards activate in the hand, graveyard, where it might be. I didn't want to get Long Yuan for game, so I thought this would be really cool if I go ahead and make sure I have 2 of them just in case I happen to draw one. Or whatever it might be, you know. I just wanted to go ahead and be prepared, of course. So having the Gravedigger Trap Hole in case my opponent activates Long Yuan to try to burn me for 12, and I'll go ahead and activate Gravedigger Trap Hole and burn him for 2,000 instead. That was the main big plan with this one, but I think overall, everything here I would keep the same except for these 3 right here. So these 3 right here, I would go ahead and put in a Traptrix, the card Traptrix, and 2 copies of Heavy Storm Duster, because again, I didn't play any type of back row hate. Whenever my opponent had skill drain on the board, it was a bit of a struggle as far as making sure I was able to get the proper pacing of the overall game down, make sure I'm placing my cards correctly, make sure I'm not getting rid of any of my extra deck Traptrix monsters, because again, those are the only things keeping me alive. At least I went 7 before the skill drain was played, so everything else I would keep the same. I think Dark Hole overperformed. I think it's really good, completely underrated. Also adds ability, of course, but any type of going second, I think this is really good. Going up against Kashtira, going against dinosaurs, going up against whatever, I think Dark Hole is really undervalued. Of course, D-Barrier is pretty self-explanatory. Also adding the Traptrix was going to get you a 4th copy of D-Barrier as well, so that is pretty nice. Anti-Spell I really like against any type of a runic variants, runic sprite variants. Going first as well, if you know your opponent's going to be siding in cards like Lightning Storm, things like that, which I got Lightning Storm quite a bit, but most of the time I did have something to go ahead and play around it, or to be able to help me out with that as well. But yeah, so that is actually going to be it for my deck profile, guys. Like I said, I went 6-2-2 in a 10 round regional, 560 people, 67th place. I don't think it's that bad. What's funny is that the last regional I went to, I don't remember if it was in Brooklyn or Philadelphia, but in that regional there was around the exact same amount of people, around 480 to 500 people, also top 64, and I also got 67th place. That was, of course, playing Trickstar, which I think I have that profile on my channel from 2018. So if you guys want to see what I played back in 2018, have to go ahead and check that out. But that is going to be it for the profile, guys. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. If there is a better side deck card you guys would recommend, definitely let me know in the comment section down below. I'll go ahead and take a look at it. But honestly, guys, I just want to go ahead and say thank you so much for all support during this whole past week and during the event. Honestly, I want to make sure I get a top for the channel. I want to make sure I get a top for you guys who are so supportive as well, and for myself as well. I still never topped a regional, so I have all those things driving me forward, but I know as long as we work together, we're definitely going to accomplish this, get myself a top, get you guys a top as well, make sure everybody's topping regionals, everyone gets invites, and I'll see all y'all at nationals, and I'll see the rest of you guys at worlds. But without further ado, guys, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.